Here, about to be on cam. And here we are. Welcome to Ragin Fishbowl. And Jalen, how you doing today, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well, Chief. How are you doing? And I want to say this: Happy Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
Raging Fishbowl.
yep. Happy Thanksgiving here. If you haven't followed our Raging Fishbowl page, it's exclusive Raging Cajun content that you can find only on Raging Fishbowl and nowhere else. We have some good stuff on there. It'd be really nice to see all the good stuff that we got going on there. So let's talk about it here. ULM coming to Cajun Field on Saturday, Jalen. What you think about that? And also, before we get in that, we got to talk about this goal line standing against Arkansas State. Man, that was a crazy last minute of that football game with the Cajuns running on the field. Arkansas State, they're fumbling, one of their linemen getting the ball. A lot going on. Butch Jones having a panic attack after the game, having a colossal meltdown. Hey, Sunbelt, a normal Sunbelt Fun Belt Thursday game. What you say, Jalen?
Yeah, I mean, the nationally televised game, Thursday night game. I mean, it was back and forth. I think it was a great game. The Cajuns came to play. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean they had one that got called back. Lunch Winfield got the Cajuns a little bit of national recognition for that touchdown celebration that he did with the police officer in the
Yeah, the
end zone.
handshake.
Yeah, with the handshake, ran up right to him. Just shook his hand.
That officer's in the
Um,
perfect spot at the
yeah,
perfect time.
like it was like perfect camera angle shot. You just got to get what you got to get at that point. That's kind of the funny thing about it. So, I mean, it was a great game for the Cajuns here. I mean, you got to be excited about it, and it's just one of those things that very good for the Cajuns to pick up the win on Thursday night. I was about to say Saturday.
You're so
Uh,
used to saying Saturday.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird having a Thursday night game, not in the Sun Belt, but like I mean, we kind of used to it because it's kind of a normal thing going on. But just kind of like having those kind of things happen, the game kind of being there and just doing its thing there. So, um, I'll tell you what, it's a very good. It's Arkansas State didn't look like they had a good home crowd on a Thursday night. Granted, it's Thursday, it's a weekday, people got stuff to do, and Thanksgiving's right around the corner. So I don't think a lot of people are paying attention too much to just college football in general. There, so I did not get a good chance this weekend to kind of like look at the other games for the fishbowl sake and stuff because I partaked in a softball tournament in the Battle of the Branches softball tournament
Woo
with
woo.
me and some of my fellow coworkers. Had a team over there and we went play, and I mean we it was a good cause, that kind of thing there. We we were not prepared. Okay, some of these guys I was talking to them when I was right at the batter box. They're like, yeah, we play in tournament we play in tournaments every 6 months. So yeah, and we just had one practice the same week as the tournament, basically. That Sunday right before the Saturday game started. But I did, at like my own personal goals, I hit 667, which is nice batting average. I went 2 or 3 in 2 games. We didn't
Woo
bat back.
woo. That's how we
That should
do it.
tell yeah, that should tell you a lot right there. If in 2 games I only went to the plate 3 times, that's all you need to know about how that score went. And that was about an hour for each game that we played. So yeah, we're not gonna talk too much about the score. It is what it is. It happened. But look, I mean, it was a good cause. A lot of these guys have obviously been playing for a very long time because they had some nice bats. They definitely play slow pitch softball. It's my first time playing slow pitch softball ever in my life. So it was fun though. I wish the score could have been different, but it was fun time though. Anyway, uh, getting back to the Cajuns and ULM playing this weekend, it was Cajuns get a lot of their suspended players back, and I think that's kind of like the biggest thing that you can see happening in this game right here because having that there for the Cajuns is going to boost back their defense. I mean, you look how well they played against Arkansas State. And that's some young guys that came out there and played. Like a lot of freshmen and sophomores really stepped up to the plate for Dez and company, and they were able to slow down Arkansas State to the point where I mean, like they were right there at the end of the game. There, I was like Arkansas State's going to win this game because they're just right there. But I'm surprised Butch Jones did not call that timeout there at the end. I am shocked that he did not do that there because he had time right there toward the end of the game to call that timeout and stuff, but he never went for it. He never thought about like calling the timeout at all, which I was shocked. What you think about that, Jalen?
I think that in that situation, I would have personally called the timeout. I think there's a thing when it comes to sports where these coaches believe in their players, but in that situation, I understand they were at home, but in that situation, it's do or die. You know, you score, you basically win the game. You don't score, you lose the game, and you're already trying to get to bowl eligibility. So, if they would have won that game, they would have been bowl eligibility, I think. So, um,
Yeah, they were at 5 games. They're still at 5. They have to win this weekend
oh,
to
they still
get
would
the
have been
bowl.
at. Oh,
Yeah, they would have been bowl eligible if they would have won.
oh yeah. So it's too much on the line. I think he should have called timeout. I think if they lose their final game against App State, I think it's going to come back. There's going to be one that he regrets not calling timeout for.
So the funny thing about App State and Arkansas State, they're both 5-6.
Yep.
So winner goes to bowl, loser stays home. Same
Yeah.
thing with the Georgia Southern and Marshall game that we're going to pick later on. They're both 5-6. There's a lot of Sun Belt teams that are 5-6 right now. I'm going to see 5-6 because Texas State's 5-6 as well. They take on South Alabama. So 6. There's 6 Sun Belt teams at 5-6 right now, and only let's see the most they can get more added to it is 4 more. Which Troy and Southern Miss they're playing 7-4. They're 7-4 right now. So that'd be if they're 5-6 because they're gonna be at least 2 more Sun Belt schools added to this list here. Let's see 1, 2. Well, Old Dominion is 8-3. I'm trying to see how many teams won.
So since they're playing each
2,
other,
3,
it's
4.
automatic one.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If Texas State beats Alabama, that'd be 7. You could potentially have 8. I mean, not 8. 9 Sun Belt schools being bowl eligible because
Okay.
JMU plays Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is at 6-5 right now, so they're JMU is 10-1 right now. So and a lot of like 7-4 Troy and Southern Miss play each other, so that's going to be kind of what we're looking at here when we get down to it here. But yeah, the Sun Belt's going to have a lot of bowl eligible teams this year, to say the least. But it's a matter of like if the Cajuns beat ULM and if Texas State beats South Alabama. That's the two kickers right there. That's gonna determine how many spots they're gonna have because they could have just 2 more. If they both win, you're looking at let's see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 9. You'd be at 9 if they both won. So that's part of it there.
Okay. Okay.
9. That's a lot of schools. That is a lot of teams just in general to have happen. So that's what you want to see for Sun Belt fans. Obviously, you want to have
Yeah.
all
Absolutely.
this stuff going on here. Obviously, you could chat with us live here if you want to like give us any comments you have on the particular situation. And I probably within the next week or so, we're gonna kind of be looking at like spots where all these teams could go and stuff because I think the last I looked at it, there was only 10 more spots available for bowl eligible teams. Brett McMurphy posted something like Sunday or Monday or something, Sunday or yesterday. I have to go look it back up again and just kind of see where that's gonna happen here because I mean you're kind of jumping the gun a little bit if you look at the stuff right now because we just don't know. So what teams are gonna be left out, what teams are gonna be in bowl season is gonna be an interesting thing to say the least here. I would depending on how it all goes here, where is James, you gonna get in the CFP Like, how's all that gonna go? I know Tulane was the one that was in it this last time here. Are they gonna win their last game? Like, what's gonna happen with all that stuff there? That's some stuff that's gonna be worked out. And that's gonna shake everything up too. Birdie's bowl,
Definitely is.
where like, okay, so I know the Cajuns have a relationship with the New Orleans Bowl. They've been there a lot over the years. They could very well go back there. That's kind of the thing here. Um, I do see that Caleb updated our standings. I never did ours here. I'm kind of curious to see what he put here. Ooh, I passed up Juicy in that one. Yeah, I'm only 4 back from Caleb now, so I gotta have a good week like I did last week. So anyway, but back to this game here, I think the Cajuns will rely more on their like running game here. If you look at but the Cajuns offensive line lost 2 more guys. That's 9 total offensive linemen they have lost for the year. So basically, 2 full sets of almost two full sets of offensive linemen are gone for the Cajuns. That is insane.
That's
I've never heard
unbelievable.
of like an injury pandemic like that on the offensive line. You almost start your third string offensive line basically. It's not even
Yeah.
backups anymore. We're talking freshman sophomores. So that like I wonder how the season would have went if the Cajuns didn't have the injuries they had this year because it would have been probably a lot better off honestly if they wouldn't have got those injuries there. But like I said last week, is it a strength and conditioning issue or what? Like what is going on with this kind of stuff here? I think that needs to be kind of like looked at and seen about there for sure if that is that reason for that. What you
No,
think, Jay?
absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that, Chief, because I mean, going into the year, there were so many expectations for this team. And I mean, game one, Walker Howard gets injured. And I think that's just from that game on all the way to now, so many players have been injured. And you look at the guys that got suspended the last game, it's just so a lot of the guys have not been on the field this year. And the fact they're still one game away from being bowl eligible. I mean, kudos to Dez and the coaching staff for making this happen because it didn't look like it was going to pan out well at the beginning of the year.
Look, I was doubting this. I was like, I don't think we go bowling this year. And now they got themselves within 1 game of doing so, and it's against in-state rival ULM. So like that's gonna be one that we're all gonna have to kind of like look at and be like, okay, you got to give him his props for that. Like way to coach them out of that jam right there. That's something to and be inspired by if you're a Cajun fan for sure. Um,
Absolutely,
but
absolutely, I agree.
I mean, you just gotta like look at it and see like
I think that's his biggest win of the season. And I know they beat Marshall in double overtime earlier in the year, but the fact that you were able to go to Arkansas State with so many players injured, with your 7 guys suspended, and you come out there and get a stop and win the game. I mean, that's huge.
yeah. But the good okay. I know there's never a good thing to talk about injuries with like teams and stuff, but this could be a blessing in disguise. Okay, we've had all these injuries happen this year. We've had the Cajuns, have injuries this whole entire year, but this could set them up good for next year as well. Whenever you start looking at all the injuries they've had, you're building
Yep.
and that's gonna if they keep this team together, which a 5-6 team, nobody's thinking about raiding the portal for these guys, okay? Unless you're like an all American like player on this team, and that could potentially happen. But with them being 5-6 and the amount of injuries they had, your 2 and 3 deep is going to be better off for it because they've gotten in the game on the field, able to actually assimilate into in game what is actually going on. So that is something to look at and see that way. So look, you go 2, 3 deep in there, you're going to be okay for next year. But you know, far down the road, if they can keep the team together, I think it'll be fine. What you think about that, Jalen?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Chief. I think the depth, honestly, 100%. If all these guys return, and I know they have some key seniors on this year's group that won't be back, but you look at the overall scheme of things, you look at this game, you throw in a lot of freshmen and sophomore, and they make they get out there and play some meaningful minutes. But guess what? Those same guys got experience. They're going to come back next year, and like you said, they're going to be even better. So the depth of this team, they're definitely going to be a lot better next year with all these guys returning, especially at the quarterback position. So I think they have a chance to even compete for sure to get to that Sun Belt championship game next year.
Yeah, like this is going to be like find the balance between the transfer portal and recruiting, and that's kind of what Dez is still trying to figure out and stuff, like when to rate the portal, when not to rate the portal. I mean, I think it's kind of like everybody's still trying to figure it out, like, and it's like year by year basis of how much you need to rate it and how much you don't need to rate it, that kind of thing. So
I
that
think
is
I think
something
the
that,
portal definitely was key for them this year, getting Walker Howard, Sheldon Sampson.
yeah, Samson really turned it on in the second half of the year. But I
Mm.
do think that the portal, that if you look at it here, I think a lot of these guys just need a year in the system. If you bounce around team to team, you can't learn that playbook completely like you need to,
Yeah,
especially with
absolutely.
a complicated playbook. They're going to be giving you like a little basic version of the playbook. Like if you stay at a spot 2 or 3 years, and I think some of these players are starting to figure that out a little bit, you learn that playbook, it's going to help your draft prospects more. And I think a lot of them like leave and they go sit on the bench. It doesn't really help them out too much because you're like, okay, you're not on the field, you're not showing what you can do. And I
Yep,
think a lot of
exactly.
them, that's the you can make more money in the NFL just signing a practice contract more than probably what the NIL is paying you. Well, it's on the practice team basically. Um, that's that's something that they need to consider when they start like looking at these other teams and stuff here. Would you rather get some money, a little bit of money now, or would you rather get more money like you delayed gratification is what I would basically like to call it here.
That's the perfect way to put it.
The work while you wait kind of thing there that Tony Robichaux
Hmm.
once said. Yeah. So
It's gonna pay off.
yeah, eventually at some point, right? I mean, if you're good enough to get to the NFL, I think even in like the UFL wouldn't be a bad spot for them guys. Now you kind of get in a little bit of gray area there though too. Um, is the money you're gonna make in the UFL, but you also get the opportunity maybe to go to the NFL here if you're able to kind of stick it out and just ride it out there. But I think Cajuns win the battle up front, even with like them players being out, because I think they have so much depth. I think they're gonna be able to win the battle up front. I think Lunch with his dual threat ability is gonna be pivotal for the Cajuns here. And I think that is something that the Cajuns are gonna look good at here as they go deeper into the season here. And you know what? I think they'll pick up the win against ULM. I think on the outside here, I know last year, ULM had their great running back Amon Hardy, who's now getting some Doak Walker on the Doak Walker Award watch list at Missouri this year. So
Hmm.
in his case, he was starting running back from Missouri. He wasn't up there to go sit no bench.
Yeah, exactly. He
So
knew what was going on with the trajectory of his college career before he decided to transfer.
yeah, so we don't have to worry about him this year, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it is a great thing.
Cajuns Cajuns defense isn't really good against the run this year, but I think in this case here they could step up and get their ball. I've been picking against the Cajuns, and I feel if I don't pick them, that like it's gonna be like it's ULM. The Cajuns have only lost their most recent loss to them was in 2022, but I think that was more Dad trying to figure out how to be a head coach at the time than because he was swapping Chandler Fields and Ben Woodridge out when Fields was lighting ULM up that night. I remember that game because I was like, why are we swapping quarterback out? Like, why are we, this guy just threw like 2 or 3 touchdowns in the first half. Why do we swap him out? Why would you kill momentum? And I mean, we've kind of, looking back on it there, I think Cajuns, they won their last two against ULM. I think they'll make it three. That's what I think. I think they'll beat ULM on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Our Lady of the Lord Stadium, by the way. What you thinking, Jalen? Last home game.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you, Chief. Last home games, the Cajuns gonna end the season with Our Lady of Lord Stadium, by the way. Beautiful stadium. Uh Bowl eligibility. That was the goal for this team. I think when it came to the second half, Dad said it a lot of times, and now all they have to do is win. at home against ULM, a team they've beaten so many times. ULM's not playing for anything because they're not going to get bowl eligibility. They're just playing this last game just to play. Cajuns are going to win. But look out for ULM, though. When the teams that don't have nothing to play for, they come out there, they want to spoil your joy. So,
especially in a rivalry game.
yeah,
ULM love to hate the Cajuns. There's a lot of rivalry right there. You want to spoil the rival. You don't want your rival to have any nice things, right?
exactly.
And to spoil the Cajuns at home would be a good way to cap off the season for them. But I think Cajuns end up taking the win over ULM here. So let's switch it up here. Ragin Cajuns men's basketball. Jalen did not go very good for them, to say the least. They're gonna be on the hardwood on the Friday. Uh, they had a bad West Coast run of things here, but I mean, me and you both talked about it. I didn't think they were gonna win any of those games there. It this team's still
Yeah.
trying to gel, but I mean, like the offense is obviously a concern here, from what we could tell. Even like a week, 2 weeks ago, we were saying the same thing here. But like I was saying before, in any Sun Belt team, no matter if you're UL, Arkansas State, or whatever, you could lose every single non-conference game, and then you could go on this run in the conference where if you even if you win enough to go qualify for the conference tournament, and if you just get on the hot streak and win the whole thing, you're in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Like that. That's literally how it is in the Sun Belt. So I mean, you could use this time, non-conference time, to see how good your team is, and then tool it around. You can experiment all you want. So I don't think it's really a bad thing that they lost all three of these West Coast games here, like with Stanford, UC Davis, that kind of thing there. So what do you think, Jalen? How you feel about what Qantas White and the Cajuns are going to do on Friday against Jackson State?
Well, I think they're gonna get rid of this losing streak that they're on and beat Jackson State. Because Jackson State hasn't even won a game at all so far this season. I think the Cajuns, like he said, they're trying to gel, they're trying to figure things out. Kiwanis is still changing the lineups up because some games you see Oliveira in there, Jeremiah Evans was starting the game. You take him, he's trying to get the feel for his team. He basically has a brand new team. Okay. So we talked about it before. They're still trying to get things going. So I just think fans and everybody, I know I'm not saying anything, but need to keep being patient with this team. And like you said, if he figures out this lineup and gets it right during Sun Belt play and they win that tournament, that's the ticket to the big dance.
That's all. That's all he's gonna have to do. I think right now he's just experimenting. I mean,
Yes.
that's kind of like what. Because look, I mean, they lost UC Davis, Santa Clara, Stanford. They had 5 straight losses here: McNeese, Tulane, and all these teams. If you look at them right now, they all got 4 wins or more. So Tulane's 4-2, McNeese 4-1, Stanford's 4-1, Santa Clara's undefeated at 5-0. UC Davis is 4-2. Then you get Jackson State, Lamar, and UNCW. Uh, they're 0-6 is Jackson State. Lamar's 2-2, and UNCW is 3-1. Then you got La Tech, which is the last non-conference game before you go into Southern Miss. They're at 2-3 here. So there's a lot of like discrepancy basically here, because you look at like with the net rankings are looking at here, like looking at Warren Nolan and a live update and stuff. McNeese's net ranking is 59 right now. Now, granted, this stuff's going to change. You're an RPI of 8, but this stuff's going to change whenever we need to get more data, into the system for it to like, okay, this is what this RPI is here. So Stanford's RPI is 169. Their net's 80 right now. Santa Clara's 57, and their RPI is 4. UC Davis net ranking of 240, and their RPI is 63. Like, it's so early in the season here. We're like not even knowing the first month of college basketball season before. Like, I'm just gonna like to give y'all updates on this stuff. This way y'all can kind of like see how these numbers are gonna change. By the time we get back and start talking about this stuff in March, it's gonna be a whole different ball game with that stuff there. So, like, Jackson State hasn't won a game yet. If the Cajuns dropped this game on Friday, that would make me more concerned, because
Yes, absolutely.
they're 0-6. They haven't won a game yet this year. So we're not talking about no scrimmages either. This is just Division 1 teams that are being played. So You said they won. If they win in scrimmage, then it doesn't really matter. It doesn't count for anything. At Lamar, so they got to go to Beaumont for that one. So that's these next two games. We're gonna see what the Cajuns really have somewhat here. But like you said, Jalen, he's still experimenting with the lineup. He's trying to get guys. Like there was I've seen men's basketball coaches start four guards and just have a center right there on the floor before.
Yeah,
So
just to see what's working.
yeah, just to get a spark somewhere. If you like their offense at the Cajun hasn't been that great. They've only scored 56 against UC Davis, 43 against Santa Clara, and then Stanford had 66 here. Their lowest these last two games have been the lowest offensive output they've had all season. But then again, this has been the toughest teams they have played all season though too. Aside from it's looking like McNeese was their other toughest opponent so far. So I think they'll get back on track. I think they'll beat Jackson State on Friday. Lamar, I'm kind of more up on the air with, but I do think they will end up beating Lamar on the road here. I did think the Cajuns need to play really better on the road because they got to take advantage of the free throw opportunities that they're getting, and they're just not doing enough there. Like free throw percentage there, they did shoot 72%. They did outshoot UC Davis, but they didn't get to the line that much. They did get more fouls. They only had 11 free throw attempts there, where UC Davis had 32. That's a big number to look at. Like so, with Santa Clara, they did better. They did better on the free throw shooting here, 80% there, shooting 20 of 25, but they just couldn't shoot that well from the floor, only 25%, and 3-point land, 1 of 9, 11%. So they got to try to bump those numbers up a little bit more there. So, like the free throws with Stanford, they were 10 of 17, 58% there. So they shot better from the floor, but they couldn't get it done with the free throw line. So, if they could ever get this thing in balance where they're kind of like all gelling together with them shooting like about 50% from the floor, like maybe 40 to 50% from the floor, and it's maybe like a 75, 80% free throw game, this Cajun team will start winning some games. And you're not as bad as you think you are when you're losing these games. And that's where I think the Cajuns are at. I don't think they're a bad basketball team. I just think they just got to get gel together and just kind of figure out where they're going to go with this year. Just one or two little adjustments there. I think they're going to be right there. I feel like they're on the crisp of it being something. Because remember, my dark horse pick was the Cajuns that won the Sun Belt this year, which isn't a crazy stretch of the imagination there because I think they got really good length on their boards and stuff, but they haven't really shown it so far this year. So I think once they gel together and get all this stuff done, I think they'll be all right. What you thinking, Jalen?
Yeah, I think this team will be fine. They just have to keep playing Cajun basketball. Like I said, even the guys that return, like Ratcliffe and Jeremiah Evans, they had to get used to a new coach too. So you might as well say they're a new player too, new players too. So I think that, like you said, free throws is definitely a big thing. Gelling together on offense. I think once you put all that stuff together with the great lineups, because like you said, Cadence have a lot of guys that can go out there and get you a rebound, have a lot of size. You just gotta Quantas just gotta get it out of them how to utilize it and work together. So you saying it earlier before the season saying that you picked the Cajuns to win the Sun Belt, I definitely can see it because I already said I see them in the top 3 or 4. So they're gonna get it together. It's still early.
Yeah, it's still early. No need to hit the panic button just yet.
Yeah, not yet. It's
Yeah,
still early.
I think we're losing games in conference, and I think that's what we need to do because the guy just got here, quite literally. Step away from the ledge is all I gotta
Yes.
say. Okay, so Raging Cajun women's basketball. Um, it's kind of one of those things with the women's team. I didn't think they were gonna have a good year this year. I've already talked about this before. I feel like Broadhead should probably be on the hot seat for sure. Um, it's kind of one of those things where you're like, okay, what can we do here? They lost to Nichols. They're gonna play Memphis tonight in 30 minutes here, and I don't think they're gonna win it. Then they play High Point and Westwood, Louisiana, and then Fresno State as well.
The
Um,
next stretch is not looking too good.
yeah, it's Like I said last week, once they get to East Texas A&M and Morehead State, they have to pick up wins there. If they don't win those two games, I think their goose might actually be cooked because it's. I think they'll drop their next three. I mean, they haven't won a game yet this year, so they lost to non-Division One Delta State. Um, it's not much to say about this here because I just don't think that.
And they've been on a long break too between games, so between the last game
So
against
I
Nickel.
mean,
So
at that point, you could technically maybe they might turn it around tonight against Memphis, but I don't see it happening. I just don't think this is not the year. I don't think. I don't feel good about this women's basketball team for the Cajuns. I mean, last year they lost a lot of experience and stuff. I know it's kind of like I'm just trying to be a realistic person here. I gave high praise for the men's basketball team, but I will not say the same for the women's team because I just don't think they have. I don't think they have any star power this year. I don't think there's anybody to take over a game for them yet and really like make the defense kind of like do that thing there. So we'll see what happens there. But I got them losing tonight against Memphis. What you think of Jalen?
yeah, I think they'll lose this one against Memphis, but I hope they're able to pick it back up. And like you said, you need to the games you're supposed to win. You need to win those, especially when you haven't won a game this season. It's going to be a tough year for the Cajuns, but there I will we'll see what happens throughout the course of the season.
All right, let's go talk about some Belt Conference games. We're gonna pick all the Sun Belt Conference games here. If you're following us live on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube here, so we'll see what happens here once we get there. So Georgia Southern taking on Marshall here. Both are 5-6. Whoever wins is getting into a bowl, basically here. But before I go say they're gonna get into a bowl, let me make sure. I want to bring up how many bowl eligible teams we have so far. Let's see. I love doing this stuff live so y'all could like see how it is. All right.
Yeah, what is it? Out of 14 teams, how many we got?
Let's see. So right now, currently, there are 72 bowl eligible teams in college football. An additional 19 teams are competing for the remaining spots this week in week 14. The final number of eligible teams could range from 75 to 88, and they're all fighting for 82 bowl slots. So it could very well make it in that 82 range here. But there's six, like if there's 88, the worst case scenario is 16 ain't going to be in there. And that would depend
Yeah.
on attendance because these bowls want to sell tickets, obviously, and stuff. So it just depends on where the bowl is here for some of these teams here. So that's kind of like something to kind of look at here as we go look forward in the case here. So Georgia Southern and Marshall, depending on where that bowl is at, where are you thinking, Jalen? Marshall's favored by 8.5.
I think Marshall is going to win this one. I think they both, they're trying to, like you said, become both. But Marshall, I think I'm going to go with the home team on this
I'm
one.
gonna follow you up on that one. I think Marshall is going to beat Georgia Southern in that game there. Georgia State 1-10 taking on Old Dominion. I got Old Dominion favored by 27.5 here. What you think, Jalen?
Yeah, Old Dominion's had a great year. Georgia State is, they haven't won a game in the Sun Belt, I don't think. So Old Dominion is easily going to win this one.
Another bowl eligible fighting for bowl eligibility spot here. Arkansas State taking on App State here. It's in Boone, and App State's favored by 2.5. I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm going against Vegas here, and I'm gonna go take Arkansas State to beat App State. What you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, especially the performance that Arkansas State did against the Cajuns. I think Arkansas State is going to pull off the upset. Uh, and yeah, pull App State, but I think Arkansas State is going to win this one.
ULM taking on Louisiana. Cajuns are favored by 9.5 points here. I know they were a double digit to begin the week here. It did kind of trend downward a little bit, 9.5 right here at the live recording of this Fishbowl Sports episode here. So I do think the Cajuns will end up beating ULM. ULM's 3-8 here. They want to spoil the Cajuns at home, but I do think it's gonna. I think ULM does lose here, and the Cajuns will continue their bowl eligibility streak here and go to a bowl, which they've been to a bowl game every single year since 2018. So I do continue see that continuing. What you think, Jalen?
That streak is definitely going to continue. The Cajuns are going to win this one. ULM, I mean, like every year, it comes down to this.
Yeah, it seems like it. Unfortunately, South Alabama 4-7 taking on Texas State 5-6 here. South Alabama don't have nothing to play for, and they got to go on the road to San Marcos. Texas State's 9.5-point favorites in that one as well. I do think Texas State does beat South Al, but South Al did have a very big win against Southern Miss last Saturday, so that was good for them. But I think Texas State gets the job done. What do you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Texas State in this one. They'll become bowl eligibility too. Bowl eligible, I should say.
Troy 7-4 taking on Southern Miss 7-4 at the Rock in Hattiesburg. Um,
So this is
yeah,
huge. So the winner wins the Sun Belt West,
I
huh?
let me see. I think
Ooh.
and this makes it interesting, right? So looking at the standings here, this is women's basketball. I need to go full of football. I do think this is. I just want to make sure before I say anything wrong here. They're both 5-2 in conference. Who's their losses to? Southern Miss dropped their last two games, so they're kind of on a down skid here. Troy won their last. They won their last game, so they lost Texas State and they lost at South Alabama here. Um, they lost something up in Jonesboro at Arkansas State. Southern Miss did, so that's kind of interesting to
Yeah,
see.
with Southern.
I don't know. They lost Old Dominion. They lost Arkansas State. Troy did, so they beat Georgia State. So yeah, this is definitely for Troy's lost to Clemson. They lost to Memphis. That's their other two losses on the year. Southern Miss's other two losses that wasn't in conference. Um, went to let's see.
Yeah, so
Went it went to hold on, I'm trying to pull it back up. Okay. They lost Mississippi State and at Louisiana Tech. You know what? I think Troy wins it, Jalen. I think they'll win the West. What you think, Jalen?
wait, who you said Chief?
I'm going with Troy over Southern Miss.
He's gonna win? Oh, okay.
I'm going with Troy.
This is a tough one. Southern missed and lost the last two, and so the winner wins the Sun Belt West to take on JMU. Um,
Yeah.
you know what? I had to do with the Southern Miss, but I think Troy's going to win this one too. They're going to keep their momentum going. They're going to get the win, and we're going to see them in a Sun Belt championship game.
So, okay, now that we're talking about JMU is going to take on Coastal Carolina. Best chance to make the CFP from the group of 5 conferences, 14.2% is James Madison, Tulane's at 25.6, North Texas at 57.9. So, the Americans obviously higher in the odds making of this, whatever this is here.
Yeah.
I think JMU cannot let Coastal beat them because if Coastal loses, I mean if Coastal beats JMU, they're done. Their CFP chances are done. But they're on the road. JMU can be kind of lost and disappointed with the way the committee's been kind of treating them and stuff. But it's tough for me to say this because I don't know if a Sunbelt team is going to make the CFP.
You don't think so?
unless they're undefeated. Unless they're undefeated, because I feel like they're just going to give like a 2-loss American team over a 1-loss Sunbelt team. I don't think they're ever going to like do that. It's a brand perception. This is why I think they should get rid of the committee. I don't think the committee does a good job at what they're supposed to do anyway. There was never a reason to form said committee for the college football playoff. It was kind of a dumb idea. All they had to do, instead of scrapping everything, all they had to do was take the BCS system and just rank teams off of that. It was 2/3 coaches and media poll, AP poll people. Okay. that are actually like looking at all these games, comparing notes and stuff, and they give their rankings. Okay, they have like over 100 some people. This committee is not 100 some people deep with the AP poll stuff. That's just AP poll. This is the coaches poll, and it averages out. Then you got a computer that has all this data and stuff, and implementing all that in there. Where us as humans kind of like, because now we're starting to see like the strength of schedule thing not really matter as much with this committee. I don't know if you've been watching the Notre Dame situation going on, but people are really angry about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing right now. Tulane's in there with as of right now, but like
Who
North
does over?
Texas has a fifth ranked schedule. JMU's 83rd, Tulane's 66. That's kind
So
of the
I think my question would be, Chief. So JMU, what I think JMU is going to beat Coastal. JMU beats Coastal. They had one loss throughout the year. They went undefeated in the Sun Belt. The only loss was to Louisville, who Louisville has had a pretty good year themselves. You don't think JMU deserve, would not deserve? You don't think they would get in? Is the question.
I don't think the committee is going to let them get in. I'm looking at this from brand perception. Okay, I know JMU's like looking at it there, but Tulane's got this Cinderella thing with them with USC. Remember a couple years ago, Tulane beat
Yeah.
USC,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Yeah.
think that's still in the mind. I think this that bias thing I'm talking about with the committee, because there's no reason why. I mean, Tulane, they played against Ole Miss. They had the best strength of schedule record, which I'm not saying Tulane doesn't deserve to get in. All I'm
Yeah.
saying is they're always going to pick the American team over the Sunbelt team. It's all brand strength and who's going to bring you. Some of this stuff I'm wondering, is it because they're going to bring you more money into the tournament? That CFP, they're paying like ESPN's paying a lot of money to host this CFP tournament in there. And if you don't think they're not like behind the scenes trying to make as much money as they possibly can, look what that whole ESPN and YouTube TV thing. Disney owns ESPN, so they're going behind the scenes trying to like finagle stuff there too.
Yeah.
They're looking at market projections and all kind of other stuff like how much money will we make with JMU in this playoff? Probably less than if Tulane or North Texas in there. I mean, you look at North Texas; they're right there in Denton. Denton's not that far from Dallas. Same thing with look at Tulane; they're in New Orleans. And there's not really much to break up them fan bases. I mean, you might have some SMU fans that might just turn it off there, but a lot of people in Texas would probably be like, okay, go North Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about population. There is more people watching from Texas than there would be in Virginia because there's obviously more population in Texas. That's what the committee's looking at, I'm telling you. Like I
Yeah,
said,
I can see that.
I've seen this from years ago. And what is probably happening with some of these selections and stuff, this is why I think the BCS should be kind of used as a seeding tool where you can just take the highest ranked G5 team in there and just, I mean, maybe expand the thing to like 50 teams in that BCS thing to where you're picking from a wider range, but keep it at like the 12 or 16 or whatever you want to go with it here. But you take that team, whoever the highest ranked G5 team is, and you would get rid of some bias there, a little bit human bias, because we're not perfect. We make mistakes and that kind of stuff there. So I think having that there will kind of balance the scales a little bit, but you won't see that because there's too much money involved in it.
That's so true. I just don't want to see, even if they are in the Sun Belt, I think JMU's had a great year. And I think if they win against Coastal, I think they deserve to get in.
I mean, I think they have a good shot at getting in. I mean, it depends on how Tulane and North Texas do in the last 2 weeks, but I think the Americans going to get the team over to Sun Belt.
And yeah, that's the true reality. But, you
Yeah,
know,
I think that's just the way it's going to be. Granted, that's just the way I hope it don't end up being that way for the Sun Belt's sake, but I just don't see it going JMU's way, even if they floor whoever they play in the conference championship game, or if they go in against Coastal here. I think even if shoot, I don't even know if one of them loses, they might not even be able to get in. I think it would
That's
take
so
something
true.
like that, or like some other team, like the American champion or whatever. I'm trying to let me go look at that here real quick here because I'm kind of wondering to see how all that could potentially play out here. Let's look at some standings here because I'm kind of curious. So I know North Texas is up there. I know like I know Navy's up there at 6-1. They're 8-2. I know Navy was talked about a little bit too. South Florida was, but they're 8-3. I don't think they would have enough to get in there. Tulane's 9-2. So right now it's a lot going on here. So yeah, they got three teams up there that could potentially get in there. It's gonna be tough. Like I just don't see a way JMU makes it through unless you find a way for them three teams to lose somehow. You have to get them another loss because it's gonna look real bad if they don't. It's gonna look real bad on that committee if they let one of the other teams get in there, especially after they lose.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. You know how the committee be.
I am like I in case y'all haven't noticed, if anybody's watching this live or anything, I am not a fan of the committee at all. I have not been a fan of this committee since 2014. I thought it was a stupid idea to begin with anyway.
I mean, I think every year there's always that one team who should have got in and didn't get in every year. And honestly, I'm tired of seeing that.
Like I remember that Florida State business a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they lost a starting quarterback, and they tried to justify that reason to put Alabama in that playoff, and I was like, just because they lost a starting quarterback?
Crazy.
Yeah. But, not to say Alabama wasn't deserving to be in there. They were definitely deserving to be in there. But just that reason alone, I was like, man, just let the BCS run it, bro. Just let the BCS. You would remove all kind of not every you won't remove every single bias in there, but the only problem with the BCS was that the whole like putting the SEC like the numbers can be manipulated, right? To help
Absolutely.
the computer sway it a certain way there. So I mean, you could maybe tinker the formula a little bit, but I like the way the BCS ranked teams straight down. I do like the idea we can maybe tinker with the formula a little bit, maybe favor one thing over another because I think strength of schedule should play an absolute factor in it. But I think the problem is I don't think anybody should be ranking anybody before week 4 or week 5. But I know they have to sell high ranking matchups because did Texas belong anywhere in the top 5 when this season started?
Oh no, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
like the why were they ranked that high? You had to replace your starting quarterback with Arch Manning. I mean, I've been saying this since years. I've been saying they should be ranking him before week 4. But that's just the way it is. All right, y'all. So thank y'all for tuning into this episode here of the Fishbowl, Ragin Fishbowl, technically. But this is on Fishbowl Sports, our main platform here. We do have a Ragin Fishbowl page, so if you like all Ragin Cajun content, you can like us on Facebook, Instagram, and X on there as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, Instagram, wherever you're watching from, it's always nice to see y'all engage with us and just watch and see what's going on there. So in case you haven't noticed, we do have a QR code right here. You can go find some merch, Raging Cajun merch, and LSU Tiger merch as well if you need a Christmas idea or anything. So that's what we got going on here. Thank you for tuning into this episode here of Fishbowl Sports. I'm Raging Fishbowl. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great, wonderful, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I will
Happy
say that right
Thanksgiving.
now. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're gonna be right in that Christmas season. I know some people already decorated. I don't blame you. I mean, you're gonna be putting up the tree for a while, so just get it done with and stuff. I do got to hang my lights outside, so that's something I'll probably end up doing this week here at some point. So thank y'all for tuning in. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. Well, I'll see you here next time here on Fishbowl Sports. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.